I got it working again, so we'll start with a little quote. Whoa! That means this quote is very important, okay? It wasn't planned. This quote is taken from Robert Herford, and it says this: "It's too bad that dying is the last thing we do because it could teach us so much about life." It's good. It's too bad that dying is the last thing we do because it could teach us so much about life. I don't know what it means, but this is how I look at it. Let's say right now I could arrange it so all of us die right now, okay? It ain't going to happen, don't worry, but we all die. Now, I know there's people that will get all involved with purgatory and time and all that, but just go with me for a moment. So we die, and immediately we're taken into God's glory, okay? We see, if that's the right word, we see God face to face, like the Bible says. And what do we see? We say, God is, good. God is, no, let's be biblical. 1 John, God is love. God is love. So we die, and we are suddenly in the presence of love. No, not love, pure love. Pure, unadulterated, total love. Total love. Now we've come back. We're all alive. Would we be different? I don't see how we couldn't be. I mean, I don't think we ever experience pure total love. We have moments. We have moments of passion and moments of love, but they don't last. We don't live all the time in love. We'd freak out. We have to have our little problems. We have to have our dramas in life. And we all have them every day. And some of us will get angry and hold on to it sometimes for years. So living in love is not something we do easily or all the time. I don't even think it's possible because there's a thing called sin in the world that's just a part of us. But what if we came into the presence of pure love, recognized it as pure love, and was completely transformed by it so that we only knew love? Wouldn't life be different? Wouldn't we bring back to this life something completely different? St. Augustine said, love, and then do whatever you want. His answer to how to live was, he said, just love, and then do whatever you want. What do you think that means? Love and then do whatever you want. Anybody want to take a guess? Just live your life, but a little more explicit. Or okay, that's a good start. If you love, you're not going to harm other people. The reason, they say, why we have codes of ethics and laws and all kinds of things that tell us how to live is because we don't know how to love. If we did, if our starting point was always, I must love, now you know what to do. You don't beat up a person physically or verbally. You don't talk about others. That's not loving. So we need laws and we need all these do's and don'ts because we don't, let's face it, we don't love as we should. We can't. We just can't sustain it. Today, in this first reading, of course, I say this all the time, this is one of my favorites. It's one of my 1,000 favorites. This is an incredible passage. God says, I will make a new covenant with my people. And then he starts with the old one. I will be your God and you will be my people. There's nothing new about that. But the newness of that is he says, now it won't be written on your doorpost or around your wrists. It won't be somewhere you read it. It will be in your hearts. I will write it in your hearts. There in your heart you will know I'm your God and you're my people. That's where you'll know it. And that's where you'll live it. You will live in love. Love and then do what you want. He says, so there won't need to be any more rules. You just live it. Live love. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? And he further says, and I will wipe away all evil doing. I'll forget all your transgressions and sins. Just live my love in your hearts. Well, we come to the gospel, and I guess in a way this is really, for me, the reason that Jesus had to die on the cross. I don't really see it as this theological description we hear that he had to make the payment for the sins of all mankind and womankind, and only by his death could God erase the sin. God doesn't need the death of anyone to forgive. In fact, God can't not forgive. God can't not forgive. I know I'm using a double negative, but he can't not forgive because God is love and God is all forgiving. And God can't change. We fixed that one last week. He's immutable. He can't change. So he can't, for one moment, be holding your sin against you, then the next moment forgive you, and then get angry, and then give compassion. God just is. He's love. He's everything. Everything. We think it in those terms because that's what motivates us to turn and change. God is upset with us because we're sinful, so we have to turn our hearts back to God so that he can forgive us. But on that end, I think it's different. We're looking from our end. So this gospel takes us to this place. The Greeks are coming to celebrate the Passover, and they go up to Philip and say, we'd like to talk to your Jesus. Can you get us an appointment, huh? And it's like layers of getting to, well, maybe the pastor or to the head of a business. You have to go through the secretary and punch the phone 4 times, So he said to Philip, we'd like to see your Jesus. Get us an appointment. So Philip goes to Andrew and says, they'd like to see our Jesus. So Philip and Andrew go to Jesus and say, they'd like to see you. And then Jesus gives his speech. He says, well, the hour of glory has come. What's the hour of glory? What's the hour of Jesus? Anybody? Since you're going to hear this now for the next few weeks, you've got to know what this means. What's the hour that the Scripture is referring to? Everyone's afraid to give an answer. They think I'm going to bite their head off or something, huh? What's the hour? What's that mean, the hour? It's more than just realize it. It is the death and resurrection. The hour is a term. And the hour of glory is the death and resurrection. It's really like a coin, two-sided. The death is not separate from the resurrection. The resurrection depends on the death. We wouldn't have a resurrection if there was no death. The death and resurrection really are one. It's the hour that Jesus keeps speaking of. So he says, well, the hour of glory is here. And then he does this explanation. He says, unless the seed goes into the ground and dies, it remains only a seed. But if it dies, it will produce much fruit. It's an amazing reflection on his death that is coming, but it's also an amazing reflection on our own deaths. And not only on our own physical death, the dying that every one of us is going to do today. By the way, you're all going to die today. So am I. We're all going to die. Probably before we get home. Some of you might die during my homily. You might. But let me put it this way. If I had a seed of wheat, or any seed, put it here and scotch tape it with a note, please do not remove, signed Father Perry, by the way, you will die. Okay, so I guarantee no one will take it away, okay? If I come back in 20 years and nobody has touched it, that seed will be there. As they say in Spanish, infecundo. It will just be there all by itself. Nothing changes. But if I take that seed, which is full of potential, drop it in the ground, cover it up, start putting water, and all the things of the earth work on it, it will begin to grow roots, grow into a plant with a lot of seeds. And if you dig it up, you will not find that seed because it's no longer there. It's been transformed. It will die as a seed and be transformed into a plant that produces much fruit. And this is Jesus' explanation for his own death and ultimately for our own deaths. We believe that when we die, we don't just finish. In fact, if many, many, many years from now, they were to dig up our grave and open it up, they'll find bones. We won't be there like we once were. We need to go through the process of dying in order to go through the process of resurrection and finding life eternal. That's what we say. But This is more than that. And Jesus says at the end of this gospel, so the time has come that I will be lifted up on the cross. I will die on the cross, and everyone will look up and they'll get it. They'll get it. They will be saved from sin. And what does that mean, saved from sin? You see, love and then do what you want. If we did that, we wouldn't need the cross. We'd be living this resurrected life of glory already. But the truth is, we're sinners. We fall so easily. Anything could happen to us today. We could be selfish or guilty or rude or mean or nasty or unforgiving or needing forgiveness but afraid to ask. We could be filled with fear, filled with jealousy, filled with wanting what somebody else has, criticizing, gossiping. You know the list, it goes on and on. We can fall so easily because we don't live in love. So we look up at that cross and we see one who would say something as absurd as, Father, forgive them all, they know not what they do. Someone in John who would say, a mother, behold your son, son, behold your mother. Someone who says, this day you will be with me in paradise. What on earth? This pure love put to death by hate. And even in the midst of that hate, continues to love. That's the salvation. Because once we believe that that's possible, we have the potential to live it any day as much as we want or possibly can. We can't do it all the time, but boy, it's certainly a nice road to walk down and say, I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it as much as I can because that cross gives life. It actually gives life. It gives hope. It puts us in deep, deep spiritual connection with love. I think pure love. Love that overcomes all hatred and evil, even death itself. Today we're asked to go there. Here we are almost at the end of Lent. And what if that message today that's given to us, that was given to the Greeks in the gospel today, is given to these Greeks here? All of us, we hear what Jesus says and we look up at that cross even before we celebrate it on Good Friday. We look up at that cross and get that life, get that love that is the cross of Jesus Christ.